Hello, welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live, brought to you by NordVPN. My name is Daniel Caw. I'm delighted to be joined by the one and only Keith Jackson. Keith, how are you?
Daniel, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks. And we're delighted as well to be joined from Celtic Park by Scott McDermott and Michael Gannon. Guys, good to see you.
All right, chaps. How are you doing?
Thanks, how are you?
Aye, we're frantically bashing keys and all that stuff. It's been a long season. I get a bit leggy. I don't know about you, Scott. I'm feeling a bit leggy.
Mentally drained.
Hey, Scott, you've got a World Cup to go to.
I know, Jack. I need to give myself a shake.
I am.
Get ready for the summer.
After a 60-game season, it's no easy, is it?
Recharge your
batteries. We've got tons of comments flooding in already, and obviously the only place for us to start is Celtic Park. Massive result for Celtic. I don't even know where to start, really.
I mean, do you know what? See, I thought today laid down clearly the difference between Celtic and Rangers. You get one team that has got the mental strength to get a result and the other team that doesn't. I think there's not a lot between these two teams. I think that both have got strengths and weaknesses. They're both vulnerable at times. I think that both teams rely on moments and from different individuals rather than controlling the match, which meant it's a bit chaotic at times. But Celtic had those moments and they had the mentality to get the job done. I think it leaves Celtic in a really strong position going into these last two games. They've got momentum. I mean, the place today is all united. It's a strong kind of force. We've seen that Celtic had these magical moments when Dyson made his goal. We'll get to it in a minute. But I think it leaves Rangers in an absolute hole. I mean, it leaves Danny Rowe in the pit of despair, really. I mean, I thought Rangers, that summed up their season a wee bit. They got us in a position of strength and then fell apart. I think they got blown away in that first 20 minutes, second half. And listen, they had a wee go at the end, Rangers, but two goals down. Again, Rangers start playing well. They're two behind. Didn't really create an awful lot. The one that hit the bar in stoppage time was about it. I thought Celtic were decent value. I thought they worked hard for it. They scrapped. It wasn't perfect. They didn't play particularly silky football, but they had the mentality and the moments. That's me the difference.
Mike, do you know something? I've just been writing my column on it, and it's almost exactly that. If there was 90 minutes that were perfectly in keeping with this whole season in general, it was that today. You've got, I think, two fairly ordinary, well, not two ordinary Old Firm teams, which has opened this door to this miraculous possibility for Hearts. They're still there, a point ahead. And it really, in the end, what does it come down to? Celtic have got a fairly ordinary Celtic side by their own standards. They've got an exceptional manager who's continuing to find ways of keeping them winning, and they've got that inbuilt mentality, which means when push comes to shove on a day like today, they can find the extra moments. The Dyson Maeda comes to the fore, scores 2 goals in 3 minutes. Rangers wobble again, and you've got Andrew Kavanagh. That's £40 million spent, and his team's folding like a cheap suit, time after time after time. And you've got a manager in Danny Rowe that is now, I think it's a total of 12 times he's come up against either Martin O'Neill, Derek McInnes, James Bertolascu, or John McGlynn. He's failed to win 9 out of 12 of those games. And that, I think, points to a glaring lack of experience. And I think it does give Rangers a problem in the summer. For Celtic, I'm going to give you a prediction. They'll go to Motherwell with massive momentum after that. That was a heavy shift again today. Motherwell's such a hard place to go. I can see Celtic getting a draw, being held to a draw, dropping 2 points. But it still means that all roads lead back to Celtic Park on the final day of the season, and Celtic just need to win that game to albeit they might need a couple of goals, but it's in their hands still. I think that's what we're going to get, and what a climax to an incredible season that's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, you could see Celtic drawing at Motherwell. They're a right good side. I think Motherwell played that great against Hearts last night, to be honest with you. Celtic look as though they've got something about them. They've got, I mean, they've got some guys coming back to fitness. Arthur Johnson, I thought Cal McGregor today was outstanding. Dyson Maeda. The guys who Celtic have relied on for the last 2 or 3 years are stepping up and getting this job done. Listen, we can talk about the lack of quality, and I think there's 2 or 3 areas where they have lacked in quality. I thought Yang today did not a bad game first half. Luke McCowan came in. I think it was great. I mean, a great pass for the equalising goal, but I think they had a great game. It was a strange decision from Martin O'Neill. They just have their big characters are doing the business, I think they'll go to Motherwell and get a result Wednesday night.
Talk about two ordinary teams, Jack, and I don't disagree. The one thing Celtic have got is a player in Maida, and Rangers don't have a single player with that attitude or that mentality.
Yeah.
The way he approaches games, the way he goes about it. And he was obviously, listen, Celtic thoroughly deserved to win, but he was a massive difference maker today. And listen, you'd expect that. He was player of the year last year. He's obviously not a brilliant season, but he's certainly come to the fore when it's mattered most. And that's the thing about big game players. No, at the business end, at crunch time, they do come to the fore.
Yeah.
At Rangers, it's the opposite. No, Rangers do well. 13 points behind when Danny Rowe comes in. Get a lot of praise, a lot of plaudits for getting back into the title race. They approach the split with a fair bit of confidence and momentum, especially after scoring 6 at Falkirk. But what happens when it gets down to the nitty-gritty? What happens when it gets to the tickly bit of the season, when trophies are getting handed out? Maida comes to the fore. Rangers' big players disappear. It happens too often. It feels like I've been in this movie so many times. With Rangers, the same things keep happening again and again. And how Danny Rowe gets them out of that cycle, or whether he'll get the chance to get them out of that cycle, remains to be seen.
Listen, talking of Scotty there, as you did about Rangers' big players going missing, no sign of Nico Raskin anywhere near the match squad. And I know that before the game, Danny Rowe said it was some sort of muscle issue. He didn't come off with a limp at Tynecastle. He might have come off with a petted lip, but I'm not sure he came off with a limp. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a bit of a cynic. I found that curious that Nico Raskin was nowhere near the match day squad today. Did that kind of raise any spiral?
I tend to agree, Jack. I mean, we've been told, like you, Nico Raskin picked up a muscle injury, I think, Friday at training, or maybe even Saturday. He was put up by the club to do a press, the Sky Sports big interview to preview the Celtic game on Friday. I mean, so there was no hint at that point that he was going to be a doubt. Danny Rowe didn't mention any injury issues at his pre-match press conference. So, listen, we might be wildly off the mark, but like you, I just thought it was interesting that he wasn't anywhere to be seen, especially after some of Rowe's comments
about lazy midfielders.
Yeah, but the Tynecastle defeat, hinting that there's a bit of ego in there, hinting that players weren't running enough, weren't marking men. As soon as I seen Raskin's name off the team sheet, that immediately sprung to mind. I say I might be wrong, but I agree. I thought it was curious that he played no part in it.
I tell you, lads. I mean, obviously, you're at the game today. From where I was sitting, all the problems that Danny Rowe sort of moaned about after Tynecastle, laziness, players not getting back into position, jogging back rather than sprinting. I thought Rangers were so easy to play against. I thought Celtic would have loved playing against that Rangers side today, and it was the same feelings. Guys not getting back in, guys wandering out of position for all the goals. Actually, I just thought Rangers were so easy to get through, and if you give that opportunity to guys like Dies and Maida, you're going to get punished.
I think when you talk about mentality, Jack, I mean, that's 2 games in a row now. Rangers have got their noses in front. And after the game at Tynecastle, Danny Rowe spoke about retreating, going back the way, getting too deep. I thought exactly the same happened today. As soon as they score, rather than go and build on that and trying to get a second, I just saw them retreat. You look at where the defenders were for the equalising goal. I mean, there's players practically on Jack Butland's goal line try to defend it. And then again, second half, once Celtic are back in it, at 1 each, with this crowd, I mean, Rangers players must know they're going to need a strong response at the start of the second half. And what did it come out, and it was the exact opposite. Just got rolled over at the start of the second half, and obviously the noise built, the atmosphere built, and it was too late. And as usual, they kind of rallied towards the end, try to get back in it. But by which stage it's too late. The game's gone, the league's gone. As I say, so many of the familiar traits. Even you're talking about players getting back. even defensively, I thought James Tavernier really poor again today, and I don't want to have a go at him. We've spoke so often about how brilliant a servant he's been for Rangers, but his last game at Celtic Park today, so many of the old failings came back. He's nowhere near Yang for the first goal, who's his man. At the second goal for Maida, he loses Kieran Tierney. Switches off, and even doesn't stop the cross. It was just poor all round.
That second goal, it actually looked like it was a slow motion. He kind of beat his hand up because he's done it over the top. He beat his hand up to claim for something that was ridiculous, and you almost seen the guy's whole firm career flash in front of his eyes. That moment, he dread in his face. It was a kind of horrible moment for a guy who's been a good servant for Rangers, but he had a poor day today. Rangers got encouragement at certain aspects early on, and didn't seem to sense that they had that encouragement. I mean, Sermiti early on was bullying Austin Trusty. I mean, for the opening goal, he's done him in completely. Had him for strength. Didn't really get the ball into him after that. I mean, even early on, Antman got a wee bit of space, disappeared after that. You think even the signs of encouragement, rather than taking that encouragement, running with it, Rangers seem to ignore it and fall back into a kind of in their shell a bit. It's just, I think it's mentality. I don't think there's much between the sides. They're a big side, Rangers. I mean, they're a big lump of boys, and yet physically they could have dominated Celtic, and at times they did. And at times they kind of get shrugged off and they get beaten as well. And you think it's strange. I thought it was strange.
I don't know about you. Don't know what you think, Jacko. But I mean, I thought Sharmiti was Rangers' best player today.
Aye.
And I actually felt sorry for him because I'm looking at him, and as much as I've criticised him for many things, no missed chances, no scoring enough goals, to me, he actually looks like the only guy, or one of the only guys, that relishes this fixture and actually stands up to it. And at the start of the game, what a focal point it was for Rangers. It looked like the two centre-backs on toast for Celtic. But it's almost like he's looking for people to go and back him up. People with the same kind of desire, same kind of attitude.
I think the worrying thing I would say about that, Scott, is that the only other one that I see that gets it is Mikey Moore, an 18-year-old who's not even a Rangers player.
Yep.
He seems to understand the urgency and the necessity for big performers to stand up. I thought he did fine today as well.
His problem, Jacko, he's not a bit like Chermiti. The midfield's not functioning for Rangers. They're not controlling games in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
And even when they're extra body in there, they're still not controlling the game. I mean, today it was Barnett came in. I don't think he was that great at times with the ball at his feet. He wanted it. He was demanding it. He was chasing. He was trying to take tackles. Not enough quality in the ball. Chermiti, not enough quality in the ball. Rangers couldn't get the guys who need to get involved enough. Mickey Moore had to get more involved because he's a wide man coming looking for a ball. He's not getting the ball in space. So I felt for him as well. And so the Rangers aren't using their weapons properly because the midfield's not functioning. It isn't functioning, is it?
No.
I mean, Celtic, I thought Engels and McGregor were very good. Yeah. But likewise, their carry, I thought Negrin wasn't that great for Celtic. And so they two are having to do extra work. But they did that. I thought they two were more dominant at times, especially during that crunch period before and after half time when Celtic won the game.
We've got a plethora of comments coming in, as you can imagine, guys. A lot on Danny Rule, as you can probably imagine. Let me go through these. If my laptop hasn't just crashed on me, bear with me. Davey says, as Keith said weeks ago, Celtic are killers and now they smell blood. Martin O'Neill waves his magic wand again. Thomas says, I've got a story for you, Keith. Rangers spend more than 40 million, win nothing, finish third in the league. Gavaldo says, Rowe has to be questioned about his character and team selection. Olsen at Tynecastle and Ant-Man today, and they crumbled again. Robert says...
By the way, see on that one,
go on.
If I'm Martin O'Neill, if I'm Celtic, I take huge encouragement when I see the team sheet. And I think this is another example of a guy that is desperately searching. And he's going to throw in a guy like Ant-Man, who hasn't started the game since November. Aye. And he gets pitched in. That would have given me huge encouragement inside the Celtic dressing room. I think they're actually coming here. They've actually not got a clue what their best 11 is yet.
He's just throwing the dice with that one, Jacko. You're totally right. I mean, that right wing berth, you can't get MD to do the job properly. Last week it was Skov Olsen thrown in. Today it's Ant-Man thrown in for nowhere. Gassama's been tried there. Asgard's been tried there. No belief in any of these guys to go and do the job. And listen, it might sound a bit harsh, Ant-Man getting thrown in. No, you're asking a lot for him produce a performance in an Old Firm derby, having no played, as you say, or no started since November. But he's still a £4 million player. You're expecting a bit more.
It's a pure sign, isn't it?
It was totally anonymous in the game. And you could have predicted before the game started that he'd be one of the ones getting hooked. Sure enough, that's what happened. And he tries Gassama, who doesn't do it either.
But again, it sums up, I think, the two teams and the sort of difficulties that they've had navigating their way around the transfer market. Martin O'Neill's just basically ditched everything that's come in, and he's having to go back. And it is these guys, the tried and tested, the guys that have been the course and distance, and they are Scottish football's mentality monsters, aren't they? And Martin O'Neill has gone back to these guys because he knows when push comes to shove, these guys are the ones that can be relied upon. And everybody else is, all of the sort of more recent arrivals, man, one by one have been phased out. I know Tanecki came on for the second half, probably gave Celtic, I think, a bit better balance, Mick. I'm like you, the Luke McCowan, I thought he'd the worst 10 or 15 minutes I can remember anybody in an Old Firm game, and then he come up, the pass that he's come up with for the equaliser, utterly sensational.
Phenomenal.
He gave the ball away 3 times in the first 8 minutes, and the third time the ball ended up in the back of Celtic's net.
Yeah.
And he gave the ball away again not long after that. And I turned to one of our colleagues and he thought, oh, McCowan's having a right stinker here. And about 2 seconds later, he disguised a ball in behind. He opened up the defence like a tin of beans. So it just shows you, but he was there for that kind of pass. They wanted to have Johnson overlapping, and it would have worked, but I think McCowan he got caught up a wee bit in the occasion, and he sacrificed. Tanecki, I thought, come on, he did quite a bit more balance. I thought Yang had a good game. I mean, I wouldn't say I was sold on Yang that much, but I thought he had a decent enough game. I don't think anyone had a Dyson made overhead kick on the bingo card right enough.
No.
I don't think that would do but it sums up the wacky season.
Even that though, and I'm not taking anything away from my that's an unbelievable finish. The clearance for Conor Barron at the near post is so poor. It gives him that opportunity. I mean, it's an unbelievable finish, unstoppable.
And by the way, Scott, I don't know if you've seen it back, but that's Tavernier's got skinned there again. That was by Tanecki, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And it looks, and I hate to say it because I'm sure it's not the case, looked like a real half-hearted effort to try to get back to him as well. It just kind of sums up Rangers. He
played an awful lot, mind you, but I looked a bit kind of tired, but after an hour, he probably would have been blown after his first game starts since January. I just think you mentioned Danny Rule, man. I don't know what Scott thinks, but when you get a full Celtic Park singing the Rangers manager's name, you're cooked. I mean, he's listen. The word seems to be that Rangers are going to back him through the summer. He is literally having the most uphill task now to try and get back from this. We've seen it before with Rangers managers in this kind of movie, and they don't ever win it back fully. I just think Rule's now in this situation now that he's got some task now to win it. I don't know how he wins it over. You get a whole ground singing your name, you're cooked.
Yeah, some fans have made up their minds already, Daniel. I mean, I've said for a couple of weeks on here now that I thought if Rangers had finished the season strongly and finished, even if it was second but narrowly behind Hearts, then he'd went into next season with a lot of support, a lot of backing because of the job he's done since October. But you can't underestimate how disastrous this last fortnight has been for him. Rangers only lost two games the whole season before the split. They've now lost 3 in a row. Now, I wrote a piece the other day about the blame that the players must take, and I think this group of players have to take a massive share of the blame. But ultimately, the buck stops with the manager. We all know that, and he's under major pressure now because a lot of these fans will want a change now. They'll not want to see this repeat performance again at the start of a season where they got off to a tricky start, and by October they're looking for a new manager. I think if there's any doubts at all in the minds of Andrew Kavanagh or the Rangers board, they're going to need to act now because they can't go through that situation again at the start of next season.
He's definitely paying for the sins of the summer right enough in terms of the players he's been lumped with.
Of course.
So he's walked into a bit of a mess. But you still got to think, if you can't get the better of a Celtic team at their perceived worst, how are they going to fare when they do get back to their best? And he's not shown enough to give people confidence that he's going to cope with that, because I've been put out the cups with Celtic both times, and then now lost pretty heavily here eventually to end their league hopes. Which might have been, listen, back in October, nobody really predicted Rangers win the title race. No. But again, if you say Andrew Cameron back in August, by the way, if you get 80 points this year, you win the league. He'd been up his hands. He'd be like, are you kidding me? Is that all we need? Usually it's 95. So he's actually been given an easier run this season. I mean, I'm talking about the whole season. Aye. But the way it's transpired, they've managed to blow it. So I think he's in big bother. I mean, I just think he's in major
also
bother.
Just, a wee thing, but I mean, he was lauded when he came in by players that had worked with him, other coaches about his tactical nous and all the rest of it. 37-year-old, one of Europe's up-and-coming coaches, been with Germany, been with Bayern Munich. He's had 4 games now against 74-year-old Martin O'Neill, the wily old fox, and can I get the better of him? Can I get the better of him in any of these games? And again, that feeds into the minds of the supporters as well. That kind of stuff doesn't get done well. And irrespective of who's the manager here next season, I think a lot of punters already have given up the ghost with Danilo.
Well, I tell you, it's interesting because he got a lot of credit, and deservedly so, for dragging Rangers out of the early season Russell Martin fever dream into a title chase. But here, as they currently sit, they're third. They're going to finish third, and they're 8 points adrift of Hearts. So what has actually been achieved? He got a great deal of credit for getting to within touching distance, and then for 24 hours going top of the table. But ultimately, it's meant nothing. The Rangers are as far adrift as they were when he took over. I'm not one of the ones, by the way, that thinks that he's guaranteed a free pass on this and that he's guaranteed to start next season. I'm not. I think that the days ahead could be really interesting at Ibrox, because I think big decisions are going to have to be made, and it might very well include whether or not they need to find themselves a new manager.
Before we let you get up the road, guys, Craig says you don't mention the decisions which would have changed the game, the first goal and the obvious red card for Johnston. How did you guys see that? Did you think it was a red card?
I must admit, Daniel, I've not seen there was a claim for offside, obviously, at Yang's goal. I've not seen that back. I have seen the Alistair Johnson tackle on Mikey Moore, and I think he's lucky. I think we've seen red cards for that type of challenge this season. So for VAR to look at it and no question it, or no get the ref to have a second look, I think Johnson's probably got away with one there.
I probably agree.
I thought, see, at the time, I didn't think it was much in real time. I didn't think it was apart from a good challenge. He wins the ball obviously first, but then his foot. I think what's probably saying is he's going in to win the ball with his toe pointing down the way, but then his foot's come up after the ball's left and it's kind of going through the man. So it's probably right on the borderline. But is it strong enough to overrule that decision and give him a red card? Maybe. I might have got away with one. Maybe.
I think it comes into the category that the more you look at it, the more slow motions, and I find that, because at full speed, Mick, I'm with you. I didn't even think it was a foul. At full speed, I thought he won the ball. There
was a foul on the other side, and the referee let the play go on, and it's like after that, and actually the foul was given on the other side of the pitch, then it back and booked Johnson. So there wasn't much of a clamour at the time to get him off the park. It wasn't until they start seeing the reviews, people start catching up and think, well, that looks a bit wild. So it's probably borderline.
It's a bit similar when you see it in the slow motion. It's a bit similar to the Jamie McGrath foul that you get red carded for. Except I think in Alistair Johnson's favour, he wins the ball cleanly.
The McGrath one at Hibs last week.
Yeah.
No, McGrath's one was a red card every day of the week. That was, I mean, he flew an attack and didn't win the ball. I mean, Johnson's won the ball and his foot's come back up after winning the ball.
In terms of where he catches him, just above the ankle, I don't think he got away with it.
I don't think it was cut and dried. I think the guy was more cut and dried though. I think this one's more subjective. I think you're right. I think he might have been fortunate. See, the goal one's interesting because Negan looks to be in offside position, and it's a case of is he interfering with play? Is he in the goalkeeper's eye line? And you could argue that
Butland's not getting there.
Well, see, the thing is, right, the still frame is he's in front of the goalkeeper like this, right? But the reality is, what's happening, Negan's going that way, and Butland's already in the motion of going that way. Yep. So he has no influence on Butland because he's not getting there, and he's not.
Correct.
So it's just because they passed the view, but it's not when that ball's the back of the net at that point. So I don't think that. I think I can see why that's. If you rule that out, I think it would be a majorly controversial decision. I think the goal should have stood.
Yeah.
The red card, I can see every day why that would maybe be a red card, but I can't see why that would be a goal without.
On the telly, Mick, Martin O'Neill said if it's his last derby game, did he?
Don't listen to what he says about any of this kind of stuff. He said that. He asked that on Friday as well, and he says, "Yeah, probably yes, maybe aye, maybe."
You said he's still no confident at winning the league.
He said he's not confident.
That's who he was confident. He's like, "No, I'm not confident at all."
He's like, "No, I'm never confident." I think he's starting to now, but more belief than he had a few weeks ago. Listen, I think if you said to Martin O'Neill privately in January and walked back in, do you think this group is capable of winning the league? I think in secret he'd have burst out laughing. He went, no chance. To be sitting now with 2 games to go and in Celtic's own hands again, 2 wins gets in the title. I mean, I think he'd have snapped the hand off for that in January. I think, in fact, after the January transfer window, he'd have snapped the hand off for it as well because none of those signs have been any good. So yeah, I think he might be still now. You know, he's like Captain Cautious, isn't he, Martin O'Neill? He's never quite. I mean, I say even at 3-1 today, I bet he was panicking in the touchline. But he's put them in some position. But yeah, but as for staying, you saying Daniel think about Tom staying next year? I don't think so. I think when this is all done and dusted, he'll be absolutely exhausted, and he'll want to go on a 6-month cruise with his feet up and an all-inclusive cruise. That one Jacko was on last week. Off on the deck with 3 slippers on.
You'll have earned it, that's for sure. Guys, I said
I wouldn't mind joining them actually. I don't know about you boys.
I said I'd keep you 10 minutes. It's been almost half an hour, so I better let you get up the road. But as always, guys, thanks so much for joining us on Hotline Live.
Cheers, Dan.
No worries.
Cheers, boys.
See you later on.
Absolute pleasure. Cheers, guys. Scott McDermott and Michael Gannon there. Keith, we've got tons of comments coming in. Is it okay if I throw a few at you?
Hit me.
I'll finish off on the Danny Rule stuff because, as you can imagine, there's a lot. Robert says, Danny Rule, the job is too big for you. It's time for you to go now. Over to Andrew Kavanagh to do the right thing. Chrissy says, Keith was bang on weeks ago, but Celtic's killer touch. If Hearts been a bit early with the concerts on the pitch before anything is anywhere near one. Matt says, Rule is done. He can't raise the players for big games. It's not the fact he got beat by Hearts and Celtic. It's the lack of leadership and lack of tactical awareness along with the defence. And David says, in any job, to blow such an investment would be gross misconduct and you'd be senior P45. Let's see how the board react to this. It could be their biggest decision, stick or twist. He's the first Rangers manager, Keith, to lose 3 top-flight league games since Dick Advocate.
Yeah,
in 2000.
years ago.
Aye.
Look, I don't know. I'm not going to use him like a human pinata here, Dan. Mm-hmm. But I've been voicing my concerns about Danny Rowe's sort of credentials for this position since before he was appointed, and nothing has changed in my mind. Mm-hmm. I think he certainly seems as if he's a really pleasant young man. But he got the job in the back of 18 months at Sheffield Wednesday. Mm-hmm. I just don't see any set of circumstances where that even gets you invited entry level into the conversation about becoming the next manager of Rangers. And I'm afraid that, and I know, and people will say correctly, of course, that he worked under Hansi Flick at Bayern Munich and with the German national side. That's good experience. It's very different being out in front centre. He did an okay job at Sheffield Wednesday, and a troubled Sheffield Wednesday, obviously. But his biggest achievement as a manager was a 12th place finish in the second tier of English football. And what parallel universe are you living where that is good enough for consideration for the Rangers job? In Kevin Thelwell's world, that's where you're living. Because it was only Kevin Thelwell that and by the way, having been chasing after Danny Role in the summer before he decided that Russell Martin was the best fit, he fancied Danny Role then, and then one by one, if you remember back, you had Steven Gerrard, you had Muscat, and they took it in turns to say, I don't think I could work under these circumstances, i.e. with Kevin Thelwell. And as they fell over, Kevin Thelwell produced Danny Rowe again. I'm afraid that's a legacy issue that Rangers are left to deal with. One of many legacy issues that they've been left to deal with. Andrew Kavanagh has shown that clearly he realised a bit late to the party that Thelwell's judgment was not to be trusted. That's why Kevin Thelwell's no longer in position. But this may be another one of those calls that he has to make just to clear out the sort of legacy stuff from a period of time when Kevin Thelwell was making one bad mistake after the next.
John in the comments says Rangers need a figurehead manager. What's your gut feeling, Keith? Do you think he will be in charge at the start of next season?
No, I actually don't. I think that I think Rangers will be having a series of meetings. I think Andrew Kavanagh has already started a personal review of the mistakes that have been made this season. As I've said previously to this, Daniel, when he first came in the door, he was solely focused on getting the deal done because it was a highly complex transaction to get a hold of so many different sets of shares from so many different places to get the deal done. It took all of his efforts and all of his focus, and because of that, he's literally taken the eye off the ball in terms of the football side of it. He's trusted people wrongly, bad decisions, who in turn made a whole bunch of bad decisions. And if you remember, and I don't want to harp back on about it, but that's why I said repeatedly last summer, Daniel, things are likely to get worse for Rangers before they get better under Andrew Kavanagh. I felt that mistakes were being made, that he didn't really have full ownership of it because his focus was elsewhere. I think now you see a guy who's got all that stuff done and is now taking a much more hands-on approach to the football side of things. And I think it'll be really difficult for him to switch off for the summer thinking, Danny Rowe's got this. As I said to you, that start, about 12 games against the top four managers,
it's pretty damning.
And he's failed to win 9 of them. I'm afraid that's, as I said previously, the Americans do their decision-making based or driven by data. That's the sort of data that will be jumping off the page when it comes down to sort of decoding this and looking at the season and where it all went wrong. And if that's the stats that Danny Rowe carries into next season, well, how can you expect anything to be different?
On the flip side, though, Stephen Mason says Martin O'Neill statue built next Monday, but Gav chimes in saying Celtic fans think they've won it already. It's not over yet. You've been on your big maroon horse, Keith, for a while. Are you still saddled up, or do you think Celtic are going to steal it?
You know that I just see Martin O'Neill coming up on the inside there. Incredible. But look, Hearts are where they are, which is first position. They've got a point lead. What I actually think is going to happen is Hearts will beat Falkirk because they've been phenomenal at home this season. I think the place will be absolutely electric. I think Falkirk are toiling a little bit. I can't see anything else but a home win for Hearts, 3-1 probably on Wednesday. But I do think Motherwell away is just such a difficult fixture for Celtic at this time of the season. A lot of the players emptied their tanks today to get that win. I just think Wednesday's looks tricky. But the good news from a Celtic perspective is a point is enough. A point, as Martin O'Neill keeps saying, keeps them in the fight. And that's all they need to take it all into the final day of the season. A visit from Hearts knowing it's win or bust time. I think Martin O'Neill would have signed for that way back, as Mick was saying, way back in January, if he thought he could take it all the way to the last game, knowing it was a straight shootout, Celtic versus Hearts for the title. I think that's what we're going to end up with.
And so, I mean, Celtic, the 2 games they've got left, they win them, they win the title. Do you make them favourites for that then? Or
Well, I've just said to you that I think they're going to drop it.
No, I know they'll drop points at Motherwell, but I guess that home game against Hearts, I guess what I'm trying to say is you kind of have to make them favourites, I guess.
Well, it depends. Favourites to win the game, yes, probably. But favourites to win the title, well, that's slightly different, given that Hearts would just need to avoid defeat.
I get you. Aye, I get what you mean.
Celtic, at least they're in the situation where they know what they have to do. They have to go and win the game. We don't know what the goal difference will look like. That could be another factor. So Hearts have got a couple of layers of protection. They can get a draw, and if they've still got which they will do, if my estimation or my guesstimation is correct, they will have a goal difference lead as well. Yeah. So that gives them a couple of safety nets, doesn't it?
Yep.
But at Celtic, at home, 60,000, Martin O'Neill, it'd take a brave man to bet against Celtic in these circumstances.
What an amazing title race it's been. It's been absolutely...
I mean, see just that there, the fact that, I mean, Motherwell could throw a major spanner in the works and beat Celtic and Hearts win, and then it's game over and we're denied this kind of final day shootout, but I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Falkirk as well, Keith. Falkirk won at Tynecastle already this season in the Cup.
Well, that's right, they put Hearts out of the Scottish Cup at Tynecastle. They're the only team to have won there this season.
Aye.
Albeit it was penalties, wasn't it? But no, I can't see Hearts failing to beat Falkirk.
Nah, me neither.
I think, look, two things. One, Celtic could win it at Motherwell, in which case it just all rolls over into the Saturday. Or two, I think Celtic, if they get away with a point, it's a good result as well, because it just means it gives them that opportunity. Beat Hearts at home in the final day and you win the league.
Yeah.
And that, do you know something? What a funny way that would be to get to the end of this season. And it's just the same as every other season. Celtic won the title. But this season's been anything but. This has been extraordinary.
Aye.
And it would be a real kick in the teeth to Hearts, wouldn't it, when you think about how long they've led this. The imagination, the excitement that they've produced to get themselves into this stage. I mean, people from all over the world are hooked on the drama of the Scottish top flight this season. That's not because Celtic are going to win it. It's not because Rangers have been in the mix. It's because of what Hearts have been doing. Aye. So there would be an element of brutality about it if Hearts shouldn't get over the line now in first place. And I think they've just got it. And Derek McInnes is very good at that. Just keeping his eye on the ball, knowing the next 90 minutes are the most important of the season. Well, the next 90 minutes is Falkirk at Tynecastle. I can't see Hearts faltering in that match. I
don't know what you think, Keith, but I thought Halkett and Mark Leonard looks like two long-term injuries going off last night.
Halkett's a hammer blow. Mark Leonard, not so much. Mark Leonard has been brilliant for Hearts. He's come in and done a great job in the absence of Cammy Devlin. Cammy Devlin's fit and can slot straight back into the midfield. And as much as I'd been saying that, I was really looking forward to seeing the two of them play together and dovetail in the middle of the pitch. Mm-hmm. Hasn't worked just as well as I thought it might. So that actually possibly removes a problem. And that Cammy Devlin just goes straight into the middle of the pitch, and they've got the same combinations that they had before the injury. Aye. Craig Halkett is another story, because for me he's been probably the best central defender in the top flight this season. Craig Halkett. I'm surprised that he hasn't played his way into the World Cup plans, because I think he's been that impressive. But time and time again this season, Derek McInnes has had to turn to his reinforcements, and people are ready and capable of stepping up and stepping into the starting 11. And he's got guys like Frankie Kent, he's got McCart that can come in, he's got options. Steinwender could come in one from fullback. There are options there. But yeah, I think Halkett's a real blow, because he's just been sensational for Hearts this season. He's been absolutely brilliant. I know we've got the World Cup, but I don't want this season to end. It's been absolutely phenomenal. But I think for tonight, Keith, that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you very much for all the comments. The comments have been brilliant as ever. We massively appreciate it.
Massive thank you to Scott McDermott and Michael Gannon at Celtic Park as well. And to yourself, Keith, thank you very much.
I'll see you tomorrow, Daniel.
We'll be back at 6 p.m. tomorrow. We hope you can join us then. Thanks for watching.